Welcome back to Rugby Rundown, your ultimate weekly debrief on all the on-field drama and off-field intrigue from across the globe. I'm Gavin.
And I'm Adrian. We're absolutely buzzing to dive into what's been an incredible start to the British and Irish Lions tour in Australia, a tour that's already serving up some fascinating storylines.
It certainly is, Adrian. From the initial stumble in Dublin to that emphatic rebound in Perth, there's so much to unpick with Andy Farrell's Lions. But it's not just about the Lions, is it?
No, not at all, Gavin. We also have the intriguing parallel narratives of the home nation's summer tours. In particular, Scotland's challenging venture across the Tasman with an eye on potential bolters for the Lions squad. It's a complex, high-stakes rugby landscape, and we're here to dissect it all for you.
Stick with us as we break down the key performances, emerging themes, and even project our first Test 15 for the Lions against the Wallabies. It's going to be a packed show! All right, Adrian, let's kick things off by dissecting the Lions' contrasting start to this tour. It really has been a tale of two very different performances, hasn't it?
Absolutely, Gavin. It certainly hasn't been straightforward. The tour began not with a bang, but with a bit of a whimper, actually. That 24-28 defeat to Argentina back in Dublin, their first tour opening loss since way back in 1971. It immediately deflated some of that pre-tour optimism.
It really did. The post-mortem was pretty clear. Line-out struggles, a failure to convert dominance into points, and a sense of the attack being a bit too tippy-tappy, as some called it. Questions were definitely being asked about cohesion and accuracy.
Fast forward just 8 days, though, and we saw a radically different beast emerge under the lights in Perth. A much-changed Lions lineup, what many considered the midweek or second-string side, delivered an emphatic 8-try, 54-7 dismantling of the Western force.
And it wasn't just the scoreline, Adrian. It was the manner of the victory. This was fluid, ambitious, and clinical rugby. Everything that seemed to be missing in Dublin. It was a statement of intent, showcasing a brand of dynamic, attacking rugby.
Precisely. So now, the big question for Andy Farrell and his coaching staff is, which of these two faces represents the true identity of the 2025 Lions? Was Perth the blueprint for the Test series against Joe Schmidt's Wallabies, or was it a flattering result against a tiring Super Rugby side? It's a high-stakes laboratory for Farrell, and these early games are shaping everything.
And speaking of shaping everything, Adrian, these opening games have really illuminated some systemic traits for the Lions, both good and bad, that are going to define this tour. What's standing out to you?
Well, Gavin, let's start with a gorstering, almost persistent weakness. The Lions' inability to secure kickoffs. This isn't just a minor technical fault. It's a significant tactical vulnerability that was repeatedly exposed. Podcasts have been all over it, branding it a major work-on for the week ahead, saying the Lions are unable to catch a restart.
And it had direct consequences against the force, didn't it? Lock Scott Cummings was singled out for failing to reclaim 2 restarts, one of which immediately followed the Lions' opening try and led directly to the pressure from which the force scored their only points. You simply can't do that at Test level.
You absolutely cannot. Ceding possession and field position immediately after scoring just nullifies all that psychological momentum. It's a strategic Achilles' heel that an astute coach like Joe Schmidt will undoubtedly exploit. It could even start affecting selection, potentially elevating players with exceptional aerial skills.
On the flip side, though, a real strength has emerged, and it's exciting. Farrell's attacking DNA, this offload mandate. Against the force, the team executed a huge 23 offloads. It's a clear indicator of a game plan built on continuity and ambition. A stark contrast to some of the boring attritional games from the 2021 tour.
Yes, Farrell was reportedly unhappy with players forcing offloads against Argentina, but he must have been pleased with the more judicious execution in Perth. This expansive style, players consistently looking to keep the ball alive, it's becoming woven into the team's identity. The challenge now is to replicate that attacking fluency against tougher, more organized defenses.
And then there's the fascinating tactical wrinkle from the force game, something Will Greenwood highlighted, the complete absence of any jackal penalties awarded by referee Ben O'Keefe. This has profound implications for the breakdown.
It really does. If O'Keefe's interpretation, which consistently favored the attacking side, is indicative of a tour-long trend, it could force a significant strategic rethink for Farrell. The value of a specialist breakdown fetcher diminishes if their primary skill isn't being rewarded. We saw Todd Byrne penalized twice in this area against the force. It's a real riddle for the coaches that directly impacts the makeup of that test back row.
Well, all this tactical analysis leads us perfectly into looking at the individuals, Adrian. While some players have had points to prove, others have absolutely seized their chance, cementing their place in the Test Match Day 23. Who are the real bankers emerging from the force game?
Gavin, 3 players, in particular, delivered performances of such authority against the Western force that they've moved from contenders to near certainties for that first test. First up, Joe McCarthy. The Irish second row produced a man-of-the-match display that has surely secured his place in the starting pack. His performance was a blend of brute force and relentless work rate, with an oppressive defensive display backed by monumental statistics, 15 carries and a staggering 17 tackles.
Beyond the numbers, his impact was visceral. A crucial turnover in his own 22, ripping the ball in a maul to halt force momentum, and then capping his evening with a powerful try. That was a massive statement, and he's now viewed as an indispensable physical presence in the engine room, providing that hard edge required for Test rugby.
Absolutely. Next, Finn Russell. Any lingering debate over the starting number 10 jersey appears to have been decisively settled by the Scottish maestro. Russell delivered a masterclass in game management and attacking flair, playing his natural game seemingly unburdened by the pressure of the red jersey.
His full repertoire was on display. A pinpoint crossfield kick for the opening try, a moment of genius with a quick tap penalty to set up the third, and a constant threat with those whipped passes and delicate chips. Complemented by near-perfect goal kicking, it was the performance of a true conductor. He is now the undisputed fulcrum of the Lions' attack.
And finally, Elliot Daly. The England veteran's all-round complete display has propelled him to the front of the queue for the number 15 jersey, a position that was uncertain with Hugo Keenan and Blair Kinghorn yet to feature on tour. Daly scored 2 tries, looked assured under the high ball, and used his powerful left boot to relieve pressure effectively.
But his ultimate value, Adrian, lies in his remarkable versatility. As a proven performer at the highest level who can seamlessly cover fullback, wing, and outside center, he's, at a minimum, the nailed-on Trower 23 for the test squad. The perfect Mr. Fix-It to have on the bench.
While some players have cemented their spots, Gavin, several key positions remain fiercely contested, with the force match adding new layers of complexity to the selection debate, and none more so than the back row cauldron.
This really is the most volatile and fascinating selection puzzle. The performance in Perth has thrown a new contender into the mix in Henry Pollock. The 20-year-old Englishman was simply box office on his starting debut. His explosive dynamism was a constant threat. He made that crucial line break to set up Tomos Williams' first try and showed an almost telepathic understanding with Finn Russell.
Despite some errors reflective of his youth, a knock-on, a yellow card, and a lazy pass, his energy and X-factor were undeniable. He's now being lauded as a potential midweek monster who could tear up Australian pitches and force his way into the test side by the end of the tour.
In stark contrast to Pollock's fireworks, you have Josh van der Flier. The Irish Open side delivered a masterclass in the unheralded work of a world-class number 7. He topped the tackle count with a remarkable 20 stops and provided that subtle, skillful offload that unleashed Pollock for his line break. His performance was a reminder of the value of test match experience and relentless efficiency.
The dilemma for Farrell is stark. Does he opt for the explosive, game-breaking talent of Pollock, or the proven consistency of van der Flier and other seasoned campaigners like Jack Conan and Ben Earl? And remember, the refereeing interpretation at the breakdown adds another variable. If jackal turnovers aren't rewarded, the argument for a pure ball carrier like Pollock over a breakdown specialist becomes even more compelling.
Exactly. And moving from one area of intense competition to another, the scrum half dilemma has intensified, largely due to injury. Tomos Williams, before his injury, was having a brilliant game. He scored 2 excellent tries, and his crisp, decisive service had seen him move ahead of Alex Mitchell in the number 9 pecking order.
It's a major blow, and his hamstring injury, sustained while scoring his second try, is now one of the tour's primary concerns. Alex Mitchell, after a patchy performance against Argentina, responded well when called upon. He maintained the high tempo set by Williams and supported well to score the final try of the match.
So, the presumed test starter, Jamison Gibson Park, now finds the landscape has shifted. The injury to Williams really increases the pressure on him to remain fit and deliver a commanding performance when he next features. The situation is incredibly fluid and has opened the door for a potential call-up.
So, Gavin, while we've seen plenty of players raise their stock, not everyone hit their stride in Perth, did they? there are definitely a few key figures with points to prove in the upcoming matches.
Absolutely, Adrian. Let's start with the starting front row from the Force game. Pierre Schoeman, Dan Sheehan, and Todd Furlong. Despite Sheehan's early try and leadership, the unit really failed to establish the scrum dominance you'd expect from a Lions pack. The Western Force scrum, considered one of the weaker units in Super Rugby, actually held its own and at times had the upper hand in the first half.
And it was particularly tough for Pierre Schoeman, who was described as being overwhelmed and struggling at the set piece. But more concerningly, for many fans, was Todd Furlong. A cornerstone of the last two tours, he looked a shadow of his former self and far off it, appearing anonymous around the park.
The contrast with the replacement props, Andrew Porter and Will Stewart, was stark. They made a significant impact, adding power, winning a scrum penalty, and providing much-needed go-forward. That performance has really thrown the debate for the starting prop positions wide open.
Shifting to the back row, Todd Bayerny, usually so influential, struggled to find his rhythm. Deployed at flanker, he was uncharacteristically ill-disciplined, conceding 2 breakdown penalties early in the match, which gifted the Force momentum and territory. His performance was rated poorly by several outlets, with one branding him among the worst performers on the day. He'll certainly be looking for a much sharper outing next time.
And finally, Scott Cummings in the second row. His performance was marred by one critical recurring error. His failure to secure possession from 2 separate restarts was a major black mark against his name, with the first instance leading directly to the Force's only try.
Exactly. While he contributed an industrious defensive effort with 12 tackles, this fundamental failure in a core skill area is the kind of mistake that can cost test matches and has put his chances of featuring in the series in serious jeopardy. Definitely some work to be done there.
Now, Adrian, beyond the Lions tour itself, there's a whole shadow squad out there. The concurrent summer tours being undertaken by the 4 home nations are turning into a crucial live auditioning ground for potential Lions injury replacements.
You're absolutely right, Gavin. The hamstring injury to Tomos Williams has already shown us this isn't just theoretical, it's a practical reality. These national tours, whether it's England in the Americas, Ireland in Iberia, Wales in Japan, or Scotland in the South Pacific, are providing a vital talent pool for Andy Farrell to draw upon. A player's performance for their country in a hostile away environment is a far better indicator of their readiness for Lions pressure than club form alone.
Exactly. So let's dive into some of the leading candidates, starting with the highest priority right now, scrum half. With Tomos Williams' injury, the name on everyone's lips is Ben White from Scotland. He's been immediately mentioned as the logical replacement. His excellent box-kicking, solid defense, and proven test-level consistency make him a reliable, ready-made option to slot into the squad.
And let's not forget Ireland's Craig Casey. He was already mentioned as a potential bolter before the tour, and his stock has risen further after being named captain for Ireland's summer tour. His leadership and energetic style of play make him a strong candidate should another scrum half be required.
Moving to the back row, an area of immense strength for the Lions, we still have some intriguing options. Tom Willis, currently with Toulouse, is considered by some as one of the best back row forwards in the world. His powerful carrying and breakdown work would be an asset. And, of course, the veteran Courtney Laws. Though retired from Test rugby, his immense experience, leadership, and versatility to cover lock and flanker make him a compelling break glass in case of emergency option.
On the backline front, versatility is key. Blair Murray from Wales has been a shining light in a difficult period for Welsh rugby. His electric pace and ability to play on the wing or at fullback provide a genuine point of difference. Similarly, Scotland's Tom Jordan is incredibly versatile, comfortable at inside center, fly half, and fullback, a perfect bench option.
And then, Adrian, we have to address the elephant in the room, or perhaps the former lion in the room, the Owen Farrell question. It's hugely divisive, isn't it? On one hand, his experience is undeniable. 112 England caps, 3 previous Lions tours, a proven test animal.
But on the other, he hasn't played for England since the 2023 World Cup and has moved his career to France. While he's not currently in the frame, you can't help but wonder if a significant injury crisis at fly half or center could see Andy Farrell face the unique decision of whether to call upon his own son. It's a fascinating subplot to keep an eye on.
All right, Adrian, after all that analysis of rising stars, work-ons, and potential bolters, it's time for the moment of truth. Let's unveil our projected Lions Test 15 for that crucial first test against Australia in Brisbane. This is based on current form, the tactical themes emerging, and the balance Andy Farrell is likely to strike.
I'm ready, Gavin. This is where the rubber meets the road. In the front row, I'm backing Andrew Porter at loosehead. His impact from the bench against the force was immense, bringing that scrum dominance and power. At hooker, it's got to be Dan Sheehan. A dream debut as captain, scoring that opening try and leading with his defensive work rate. He's a certain starter. And at tight head, I think Will Stewart has played himself into the starting role. He provided the stability the scrum needed from the bench.
I concur on those front row calls, Adrian. Moving into the engine room, Maro Itoje is non-negotiable as the tour captain, despite being rested for the force game. And alongside him, after his man-of-the-match display, Joe McCarthy is in. His immense physicality, 15 carries, 17 tackles, and that crucial try, he's indispensable. At blindside flanker, despite a couple of uncharacteristic penalties against the force, I'm still picking Tad Byrne. His versatility and line-out prowess are crucial, especially with those restart issues.
And then, Gavin, the back row gets really interesting. At open side, Josh van der Flier provides that relentless work rate with 20 tackles against the force, and his experience is vital for Test rugby. But at number 8, I'm making a bold call. Henry Pollock. His X-factor is undeniable. His explosive carrying and link-up play with Finn Russell offer a game-breaking dimension that could unsettle the Australian defense. Farrell has to be tempted to unleash him from the start.
A bold but exciting choice, Adrian. At scrum half, I think Jamison Gibson-Park holds his place as the presumed starter, but the pressure is definitely on him, especially with Thomas Williams' injury making his fitness and form paramount. At fly half, there's no debate. Finn Russell is the undisputed conductor after his masterclass in Perth. The entire attacking strategy will be built around him.
On the wings, I'm going with James Lowe. He provided 2 world-class assists against the force and looked sharp and dangerous whenever he had the ball. His left boot also offers a crucial tactical kicking option, and Mac Hansen gets the nod on the other wing. He was solid in attack, creating opportunities and assisting Ringrose's try.
In the midfield, I'm picking Bundy Aki at inside center. His powerful, direct carrying was a highlight against Argentina, and he'll be crucial for getting the Lions over the gain line. Alongside him at outside center, Gary Ringrose scored a well-taken try against the force. And his defensive intelligence will be key to shutting down the Australian midfield. Finally, at fullback, Elliot Daly's 2 tries and all-round solidity against the force have earned him the starting jersey, at least until Keenan or Kinghorn prove their fitness and form.
So, there's our starting 15. And on the bench, we've gone with a 6-2 split, prioritizing forward power. Ronan Kelleher, Pierre Schoeman, and Todd Furlong as the front row replacements. Ollie Chesham provides dynamic cover for lock and blindside flanker, while Jack Conan offers a different, powerful option at number 8. And then Alex Mitchell at scrum half, with specialist center cover from Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones.
That bench composition reflects the key lesson from the force game, the impact of those replacement props. But despite this confidence, some critical dilemmas remain for Farrell. The scrum half crisis is primary. If Williams' injury is serious, who is called up? Ben White seems logical, but Mitchell's performance and Gibson-Park's pressure make it fluid.
Absolutely. And the back row balance is still the central philosophical debate. How does Farrell balance the explosive youth of Henry Pollock against the proven Test experience of players like Jack Conan? That decision will reveal much about the Lions' intended game plan. And lastly, the front row power. Have Porter and Stewart done enough to usurp 2 of the most respected props in world rugby? The scrum battle will be a foundation of the Test series, and this decision is pivotal.
Well, Adrian, it's certainly been a roller coaster start to the Lions tour. From the stumble in Dublin to that emphatic statement in Perth, the fog of selection is beginning to clear, but those lingering questions remain.
They do, Gavin. They absolutely do. The tour is well and truly up and running, and the Perth victory has restored confidence and given us a real attacking blueprint. But those systemic issues, especially the vulnerability at restarts, are definitely something that needs to be rectified before the Test series.
Agreed. And that's why these upcoming fixtures against the Queensland Reds and the NSW Waratahs are absolutely critical. They're going to be a far more accurate litmus test of where this Lions squad truly stands.
Exactly. These stronger provincial sides will provide a much sterner examination of the Lions' set piece and their defensive structures, We're on an upward trajectory, no doubt, but only after navigating these next two challenges will we truly gauge their readiness for the suffocating intensity of a test series against Joe Schmidt's Wallabies.
A superb analysis, Adrian. It's going to be a fascinating few weeks. That brings us to the end of this week's Rugby Rundown. Thank you for joining us, Adrian, for breaking down all the action.
My pleasure, Gavin. Always a great chat.
And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. Be sure to join us next week for more in-depth rugby insights as the Lions tour heats up. Until then, from Adrian and myself, goodbye.